Hi guys, welcome to this new video on React. In this video, I'm going to be talking about very important topic, which is signals, which are newly added in React and other frameworks of JavaScript. So I have opened up this empty folder in VS Code. So let me create a new React project. First of all, before I talk about signals, so quickly, this video covers up pretty much every topic about signals, the topics which you would need to use about signals in most of your projects. So stay tuned and stay focused, and I would like you guys to practice along with me while I'm writing the code in this video. So let's go over here. I'll be using White and I will be creating a new React project using White. So I'll be using the preact TS template in order to create a new React project. So if I write preact slash signals, so this is what I'll be using to implement signals. Signals are very important topic to manage states, local states, global states. So there are more topics as well. So let's go over here. I'm going to be copying this particular command using npm. So here in this VS Code, I'm going to write this. So I will be writing preact TS as a template, and I'm gonna be writing preact app over here. So I'll hit enter. So it's going to create a new React project using White. So you can see that it has created this quickly. This is the benefit of White. It improves the performance. Now let's go inside this and npm install in order to install all the dependencies. So first of all, I'll be creating different routes, 4-5 routes, and to cover up each topic like local signals, effects, computed, global signals, maybe implementing the global theme, global to-do CRUD applications, so that you don't get confused. I'll be implementing and talk about each topic on separate route. Okay, so first of all, meanwhile it is installing the different dependencies of this project, let me show you that before this I've created many videos on React. You can see over here, starting off with the best practices using use effect hook, best practices using use effect and improve the performance of fetch and axios to call the APIs, managing states using use state use reducer in a best way in best practices, debugging React or Next.js application, state management with the stands, integrating Docker in React, in Mern app, integrating CI/CD in React projects using White, debugging a React and Next.js project. So these topics are very essentials. So I would suggest you guys that after this video you should watch these topics as well to improve your skills in using React in your daily to daily projects or the coding that you do in React. So let's get back. So node modules are installed. So first of all, let me run the project to see if everything is working fine. So this is how it is working. Let me copy this URL and I'm gonna go over here and press, and now you can see that this is the new project created. And now first of all I will be creating different routes. So let me close these tabs, and in order to create the routes I'm going to come over here, and in this app.tsx, first of all I'll be removing everything which is added over here. I don't need any of this. So let's go over here. So in this one, first of all I need a router which is going to be from preact router. So let me remove everything. So import, which is going to take us router from preact dash router, right? This is the package which we need to install actually. So in the terminal I'm going to come here and I'm going to write npm I, and here first of all we can write preact signals, and then we can write the preact router. All right, so I'll hit enter. So these packages will be installed. Preact was already installed, which I didn't need it to add over here, but rest of the two packages were required to be installed. So these are installed. Now let's go over here. You can see that the error is gone, and error is gone over here as well. So here in this app.tsx file, we can create multiple routes. So first of all, I'm going to be creating a new folder, let's say the components, and inside this components we can have a navbar. So navbar.tsx, and in this navbar we can have different routes. So quickly I will be using RAFCE, this is the navbar, and rather than the div, I'm simply going to use nav like this. And first of all I need to import the link component from preact router slash match. So first of all I can write link href equals to, and first of all I can write home, okay, in smaller letters. So home route, okay, so let me copy this one, and here I can write use home. All right, so there are two functions provided by signals. One is the single signal function, and other is the use signal. Both have different purposes. So in the first route I'll talking about the simple single version, and then I'll be using use signal and use computed as well. So here this router, and I'll be using those components. So first of all I'll be creating a new file over here. So I can write let's say home.tsx, and then I will be creating a new file use state.tsx. all right, so inside the home we can create RAFCE. This is going to be the home, actually use home, okay. So let me remove this for now, let's leave it like this. In the home we can write RAFCE and this home here. All right, first of all I want to check if the routing is working fine or not. So inside this router we can create the different routes. So we can have first of all home, and then this is going to be use home. Okay, let me verify the path. So this is the use home, and first one is the home. It has to be the default route, I believe, and this is the home. So let me import the home as well from components home. All right, so let me try to run the project now. If routing is working fine, I don't need this count, remove this as well. So now let's refresh this, and this is the home route which is working fine. And in this router we can have a div wrapping all of this. So div, and inside this div I can have a navbar like this, and now I'm going to add an ID, and let's give an ID app over here, and I would like to copy this router and put it inside this div, and open up the app.css, and here I would like to add few styles. This one is already added, max width, margin, padding. I would like to remove everything like logo because it was by default added. Let's remove that. And now I will be adding this thing, the nav A and nav hover. All right, so now let's see, let's refresh. So here it is home, use home, and you can see that I'm able to navigate to this particular route, and it is loading that component. And in order to move this thing up, we can go to the index.css, and here I think we can go down. So for the body, I'm going to remove this line, place items center, and I hope that it's going to move everything at the top. Yes, That is fine. I'm not going to make fancy UI because we are learning signals in this video, so I'm able to navigate to this. Now let's come back to the home and I will start off talking about signals with primitive types. For now we can ignore this particular error. It's not throwing any error or crashing the app. It is just a TypeScript error. Maybe by the end of this video I'm gonna look into this error. Alright, so let's come to this home.tsx, and in order to use signals we have already installed this particular package preact signals, so we can use that inside the home. I'm going to import the signals like this, import and signal from preact signals, and here we can actually use this signal to create or initialize the variable. So here this particular signal actually used to manage the states locally, but mainly it is used to manage the global states. Means if one component is using the variable using creating the signal, like for or maybe a string, it can be an array or an object, we can use that particular value outside this component as well. So for that we have to initialize this particular signal value outside this function declaration, outside this component function declaration. So if I try to write a signal, let me show you what I see. So const count and signal. So I have initialized this count variable with the signal inside this home. So if I save this particular file, let's refresh, let's home, and currently I would like to use this thing inside a function increment like this, and count dot value, which is a built-in function for this particular count. And here inside this we can show the count over here like this, and then we can add a button to increment the value. So now let's go over here. Currently you can see that it's showing count 0. If I click on the click me and go to the inspect console log, and if I click on this click me, you can see that this count is not getting incremented. The reason is that we are using this particular signal as a local state variable, but if I try to remove it and put it outside this function declaration, and if I click on the click me, you can see that it is working. So whenever you try to use this signal to initialize any variable with the default value 0, you have to add it outside the function declaration. Okay, so here we are actually using this signal to initialize this count variable, and then I'm using the dot value, actually the property of this signal variable to show the value, the updated value, and then I'm using this particular function with this button click to increment the value, and then this automatically gets re-rendered to show the updated value. So this is the basic and simplest example of the signal. Now inside this use state, I'm gonna show you that if we want to use the signal only in that particular component, then it's not a good practice or a recommended practice to use this particular signal, because it is usually used to manage states value globally, okay, to share data between multiple components. So let's come to this use state.tsx, and here I'm going to import useSignal, and also let's talk about the useComputed directly over here. Okay, so inside it I'm going to come inside this function declaration now, because these kinds of signals are used to associate the values directly within a component. It means that whenever this component is going to get unmounted, whenever we try to navigate to another route, then the value is going to be reset. We cannot pass this value, or the value can retain its state on components unmount. This is where we use the use signal function. Okay, So I can directly come inside that function and I can use count equals to use signal equals to 0 without using the use computed. Let me copy this particular function which I've already created in the home component, increment, and now let me copy this thing and paste it over here. All right, so now let's go over here and let's navigate to the use home. And now if I click on the click me, you can see that it is working even though I have initialized this particular signal variable directly within this function declaration. So it shows that whenever we use signal, we have to initialize it directly within the function because it is associated with this component only and cannot be passed outside this component. When this component gets unmounted, then this signal variable will not be available outside it, but in this case it will be available outside it, which I'm going to create a new route and show you how that thing is work. But before that, let's talk about use computed. So currently you have seen that the signals are functions which we can use to create a variable to manage the state for a component or for multiple components, and here we can initialize it with the default value. And then there is a built-in property of that signal variable which we can use to show the data, to increment that particular data, and we can do any manipulation of data with this. So let's use computed. So inside this function declaration, I'm going to create a new variable const even, and then I'm going to use is computed. Okay, so it is a function that actually see all the dependencies variables. So currently we can pass one or more dependency variables over here, and we don't need to pass it in a separate array or an object. We just need to use that within this use computed. So for now you can think of a use effect hook in React. So we have an array of dependency variables. If any of that variable gets changed, that use effect gets triggered. So here use computed gets triggered whenever its internal usage signal variables gets changed. Then it returns a new signal that will be stored in this event. So currently we only have this count signal which we can use to as a dependency variable for this use computed. So let's say that here inside it I'm going to return true or false based upon if the count dot value, the updated value, whenever it's going to get changed, it is even or odd. So based upon even or odd, I'm going to return true or false inside that even variable. So in order to detect if it is even, we can use mod equals to 0, and if this is going to get true, because on increment it's going to get changed and this is going to get re-triggered automatically, and this even is going to receive a new signal. This does not return true or false, it returns signal. So means whenever we need to print the value of this even, we cannot simply write even, we have to write even dot value in order to show that just like this is the signal. All right, so after this count we can have we can show this thing like count value is, if even value is true then we are going to show even, if it is false we are going to show odd. Okay, so let's go over here. So you can see that it is 0, 0 is even. If I click on it, you can see that the 1 is odd and it is keep on changing, and you can see that whenever the value of that count signal is getting changed, the computed value is getting updated as well. This is the reason the even signal value is getting updated. All right, so just like this use computed, we have the simple computed function as well that can be used to manage state or share data between multiple components, just like this particular signal. Now I would like to talk about something, you can say create a to-do application, so you get a better practical example, and let's do that. So let's quickly create a new route. So inside this navbar, I'm going to just copy this and simply write to-dos, and here I'm going to create to-dos dot tsx rafce and to-dos, let's remove that, and here inside this app.tsx I'm going to add that. So to do's, and we have to write to do's from that component. All right, so let's see if it is showing over here. To do's, yes, this route is working, which is pretty good. And now inside it, I'm going to create a to do application using these signals. So let's remove these, and let's remove these as well. So now at the top, I'm going to actually import that signal. So let's do that here. So signals and computed have been imported from preact signals, and when we are using signals, we have to write it, outside this thing. So I'm going to initialize a new variables. Let's say one variable is an array of objects that can contain text for the to do and the completed. So let me add that. So here you can see that this is the variable created using signal. It contains array of objects with texts and this completed true or false. And after this, whenever we are going to put some values inside the input element of HTML, then we have to update this particular variable that this is the new value have been added. All right, so inside this to do's, first of all, let me create some UI over here. Okay, so inside this particular div, we have to add an input. So input value equals to text dot value. All right, this is what we have created above. And on it input, whenever this is going to gets changed, then we have to write a function for this, which I'm going to write after this. Let's try to add some styles as well. So let's give it the height of you can say 30 pixels, and let's add the margin right as well. So margin right is going to be the 10 pixels. All right, there seems some kind of error. Yes, we need to close this. Okay, so let's create this function on input. So let's go above. So let's write on input equals to, and we can have it like an event, or we can write any. Like this, or we can simply write right arrow, and we can write the text dot value equals to event question mark dot current target dot value. All right, so this is going to update the value of this text signal variable with this, which is going to add over here. All right, so let's come down. Let's see if it is showing over here to do's. Let's refresh. So currently it is not showing. All right, let me see. This is the to do's, and this is the nav bar. It is actually to do. We have to add to do's because we have added to do's over here. All right, so let's refresh this page, click on to do's, and now you can see that it is showing this particular text box. All right, so let's come back, and after this I'm going to add a new button after this input, and let's add button on click, and this is going to call add to do function, which I have yet to add. So add to do. Okay, so let's add this particular function above. So const add to do, and in this function we can have to do's dot value, and we can use the spread operator to first spread out all the values to do's dot value, and then I can add text dot value, and we can simply pass any value for the completed, which we are not managing over here directly. This is just for the data. Okay, so add to do, and after this, once it is going to get added, I can simply write text dot value equals to this. Okay, So this is showing some kind of error, the value implicitly of type any. So it has to be the function over here. We can use this arrow function, or we can directly write the function over here as well. Okay, so this is going to be triggered from here, add to do. Now we need to print the values of it. Okay, so in order to print that, we can use the ul element. So ul, and inside it we can iterate through to do's, not map but to do's dot value, because this is a signal, and then map. Okay, so to do arrow parentheses, and inside it we can use this li, and after this let's use the label. Okay, and this label is going to take the checkbox, but after this we can simply uh, write a button, and this is going to take on click remove to do. Okay, so let's pass this to do, and this is going to take remove. So before moving further, let me try to resolve this error, and above this let's add function remove to do, and inside it I can write to do's dot value equals to do's dot value dot filter val not equals to do. Okay, so this is going to remove this, and also we need to receive that to do over here. This is going to be of type object. All right, and error should be removed now. All right, so now above this we have this particular label, and inside it I can simply create an input. So let's use the tab 9 suggestion. So input type checkbox checked to do dot completed, and we have this on change. So we can write on any input from here. So whenever this is going to get changed, to do dot completed not to do equals to, it should be like this, and then I'm going to add to do's dot value equals to dot 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 to do's dot value. All right, so after this import, uh, currently it is showing to do's dot text, but we can use to do dot completed. I can write s to line over that particular text. So this one, let me close this, colon to do dot text. All right, so I hope that it is going to work, and now you can see that this was true, and we can remove this line as well, and we can click on this and there is a line as well. Ignore the UI, currently we are learning signals. Now let's try to add to do 4. Click on this, and yes, our signals are working with the signals, and I'm going to remove it, and you can see that these signals are getting removed as well. This is great. And using this, let's use computed. I showed you how to use computed, but we can use this computed as well. Okay, so inside this particular function, but if we need to initialize something within a component like this, we have to initialize it outside that component declaration. But in terms of the computed, we can use it inside this function declaration as well. I have shown you. So let's see if we are able to find the length of all the to-dos using computed. So we will be putting as a dependencies for the computed function. Okay, so here after this remove to do, I'm going to create a new function, completed count equals to computed. This is a function, and then we can write any logic inside it, and we can return to-dos dot value like this. And this is going to, whenever to-dos value is going to get changed, any new to-do is added or removed, then this is going to get triggered. It's going to return us new signal. So this is a signal. Okay, and let's use this thing outside the list of all the to-dos. So we can come over here and let's print it like this. All right, so completed count 1, let's remove that, and yes, it is working perfectly fine. And this is how we can use computed inside the function declaration. And again, we have to use these things. There are a couple of more routes that I'm going to get create. I want to show you how we can use signals as a global state management tool to share data between multiple components. For that, I'm going to create a couple of more routes. But before writing this, I want to show you one thing, that this is the home route, and it shows the count. And as you know that in the home route, we are using signal like this. We are not using useSignal. We are using useSignal inside this particular route. Okay, and as I've explained you that useSignal and useComputed does not retain its values when component gets unmounted. So let's see that how this thing works. So currently home uses signal, which can be used as a global variable for state management. So if I click on it, you can see that its value is 6. Okay, whenever I'll try to change the route, this is going to get unmounted, the home component. Okay, so if I click on the to do and go back to the home, you can see that it keeps this value 6 over here, even though this home component got unmounted. So this shows that when component gets unmounted, still that signal variable keeps its value in this case. Okay, but in this use state, let's try to go over here and let's try to click on click me. Okay, so it's 3 over here. All right, and if I go over here to do, and if I come back to this use home again, you will see that it has been changed to 0, because when I changed to the route to do, this use signal and use computed was reset because component got unmounted. So this shows that the signal inside this home maintain its value, but whenever we try to only use a particular variable inside a particular component, then in that case we have to use signal. It's all about how logical we want to be and where we want to use a particular value of that signal. So currently previously in React, we have been using use state and use effect hooks, but whenever the signals are introduced, we don't have to use state variables, which I've just shown you. We can create a simple to do application. Now let's create a few more routes. So here, first of all, I'm going to create a new folder over here. So this is going to be the store. This is, I think I've created this as a file. So inside this thing, I'm going to create a store folder, and inside this I can create store.ts. So whenever I talk about this particular signal, it has not just to be added in a component declaration. Okay, or even outside that, we can create this signal in that where we don't need to create this JSX or TSX as well. So inside this store, we can create the signal. So let's try to import the signal first of all from preact, and now I can simply export these things. So let's create these variables. So signal like this, and inside it I can create multiple texts and the completions like this. And let's try to export one another variable using signal. So signal, and then this is going to be a theme. So default value is this light. Okay, so I've created this. So I'm exporting this variable from here as well. Now there is a good practice that whenever we try to export these kind of variable, we create a custom hook, and custom hook is responsible for returning the updated values of these variables of signals. Okay, so for that I'm going to create another file. This is not required, this is just the best practice which I follow. So inside this we can first import the store from store.ts like this. Okay, and this is going to give us all the variables within the store variable. Okay, all the variables which are exported, so it can be these two variables, to do's and then the theme. And now I'm going to export a function like this. Export function use to do's, and it's going to return me store.todo. So whenever I need to use the variable value, updated value in any of the component, whether there are hundreds of components, then we can simply import this hook, and this hook is going to return us updated to do's. If one component is updating to do's, then other component can use this particular hook to get the updated to do's. And similar to this to do's, I can write over here which is use theme, and updated theme value can be fetched from here. So let's close this, and I'm going to create let's say to do global to do's dot tsx. Okay, so let me write RAFCE. So let's add global to do's. Let's first verify if our routing is working fine. So let's go over to the navbar. So here inside this to do, and let's write global to do's, global to do's. Okay, so let's copy this route and go over app.tsx, and here we can write global to do's, which is going to take the path, and then we can write global to do's like this. All right, so let's verify if it is working fine, and yes, it is working fine. All right, so let's go over here in the global to do's, and inside it I'm going to implement the same functionality which I've already done in the to do's, but in this to do's I was creating these signals directly inside these components. Okay, and here I want to show you that how things are working over here. So here I can import. First of all, I don't need to import the signals or computed. I've already created that globally in store.ts. I just have to use to do's from the use store and then use theme. Okay, so inside this particular function I can simply write const to do items any, and then the use to do's. Okay, so this is simply going to give me all the to do's which I have stored initially. And then let's try to get the theme. We will see that if we can use this in this particular component, or we can create a new route for this. So this is the theme, and let's quickly add a function for adding a to do. I've already created a to do application for you guys for deleting a to do over here, and I hope that you have understood the logic. I don't want to explain that again to you guys, so I'll just be copying this add to do function. So this is the add to do, which is the value, and it's going to use this dot value property to get the updated to do's value. Whenever this is going to get triggered, it's going to update the state within this store actually, because this is how we are importing our hook over here. All right, so after this I'm simply going to come inside this particular div, and just like I have already done in the to do's component, I can simply iterate through that. Okay, so I'm not creating any text box for entering a new to do. You have already understood how that logic works, but this video is specifically for signals, so I'll simply focusing on that. Okay, so I will be constantly putting the same value, so I can simply copy this code. You can see that this is the button, and this button is having this add to do, and this is the value which I have set, the constant value. Okay, if you want that, you can follow the logic which is added in to dos, and you can learn that and add that functionality. And this is where we are iterating through each and every value of that to dos which is coming from that store.ts file. All right, so currently you can see that it is showing global to do 1, global to do 2. So it means that our exporting logic from store.ts and use store.ts is working fine. And now if I click on add to do, and now you can see that I'm successfully able to update the value of that store which is being created outside this file, and it is being showing over here. So you can see that in this particular file we are updating over here, and it is going to update this store. And whenever this store is getting updated, this is the consumer, and the consumer gets notified that that store is updated. You have to update your list as well. So this is how we can add this thing over here. All right, so now I want to use theme, and inside that theme route I will be showing you what is effect. Okay, so now let's do that. Inside this, I'm going to write theme.tsx and RAFCE theme, and let's first try to verify if theme is working fine. Click on the nav bar, and I'm just going to copy that theme, and then this is the theme. Lastly, I just need to add that over here. So this is going to be the theme, and let's try to import that theme component. All right, so let's click on theme, and yes, this route is working fine. All right, so let's remove this thing, and this is the theme which we need to work on. Okay, so inside this particular theme, first of all, I need to import that. So import use theme from that use store. And also along with this, I also want to show you what is effect from preact signals. So this is how I have imported this. All right, so here inside this particular theme, let's try to get the updated value from that. So any equals to use theme. All right, so after this, let's try to add a function toggle theme. And this is how the tab 9 AI assistant extension is suggesting me. Let me see if it is showing right. So theme dot value equals to theme dot value is equals to the let's say if it is light, I'm going to switch it to dark. Otherwise it is going to retain its value, which is perfectly fine. Okay, so now inside this particular div, let's first try to add the style margin, and then I'm going to write 100 pixels. So inside this div, I'm simply going to add a button. This is going to take an on click and the toggle theme, and then I'm simply going to write toggle theme. All right, so currently when I'll click on it, it's simply going to update the value. There are some best practices to update the theme, but I know that I'm not going to be implementing the theming in this video, but just to elaborate you, I'm going to use some way. You know that there's always a way to do things out of the box. So here I will be using effect. Okay, so effect automatically gets triggered whenever the other theme or other signal variable gets changed, and we have to keep those other signal variables as a dependency variables for that. And you might be confused that the same thing happens with the computed, like I have shown you over here. This is the dependency variable. When it gets changed, this is going to get triggered, but the difference is that whenever this variable is going to get changed, this compute is going to get re-triggered, and it's going to return us another signal. This is not the case in effect. Actually, effect does not return any signal, but it automatically triggers. So practically when we use computed, when we have to create another signal, but when we use effect, when we perform some extra logic, like maybe calling an API, or maybe updating the colors, or updating the other external variables. Okay, so here I'm simply going to add some DOM manipulation logic, that you can call it some JavaScript. So this is how I have added over here. So theme dot value. Theme is a dependency value. Whenever the theme dot value is going to get changed by clicking on toggle theme, this effect is automatically going to get triggered. And when the theme dot value is going to get changed, if it is dark, then this value is going to be stored within the background color. So all the background color is going to get black, and the text color is going to get white in case the theme is dark. Otherwise, and same for color, when the background is black, I want color to be white, and vice versa. All right, so this is how the effect works. Let me verify. So currently it is by default fetched as, so whenever the component gets mounted, this effect automatically runs first time, just like the use effect hook in React. Okay, so the default value was, let me see, it is light, so that's why it is showing this light. And now I'm clicking on this toggle theme, and now you can see that theming is working, and this is the global state variable. Okay, and this is going to work even if we unmount this particular component. All right, so let's verify that. If I click on that, you can see that that theme variable is keeping its value, and it is not getting unmounted. Okay, uh, and the only thing that gets unmounted and it's get updated, as I've explained you, is the use computed and the use signal. So this is how the theming is working in this particular file. So these were some major topics which I think are crucial, and there are few more things, some advanced topics of signals, but I think for beginners this is pretty much it, and we can use these concepts of signals in pretty much every application that we can create, and we can use these signals rather than using use state hook or use effect hook, and these are awesome. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Let me know what you think about signals. If anything you are confused with, you can ask me in the comments of this video. I'll try to answer you as soon as possible. So see you in the next video. Stay tuned, do subscribe my channel, like this video. Thank you so much for watching.